Hello and welcome to the Goldenrod Podcast. I'm Ben. As always, I'm joined by fellow Pokemon enthusiast Conor to bring you some of the latest and greatest Pokemon news and a few laughs along the way. This week, we're answering some fan-submitted questions, discussing Episode 3 of Paldean Wins, and discussing supposed leaks of the new mysterious Pokemon, Regitube. As always, you can jump to a topic using the timestamps in the description below. Do you like what I did there, where I said leaks and combined it with Regitube? And the theme of water.
I did. Oh, right. No, I didn't get that. But yeah, no, it's very good.
Thank you very much. This is what you get, people. Like, this is why I like to think
he is a
people
pun master extraordinaire.
I'll take that. I will take that. Conor, how have you been this week?
Relatively well, actually. I've been practicing my photography. I don't know if I spoke about this on podcast.
You said you got, was it a new camera or new lens? I can't
remember. New lens.
That was it, yeah.
New lens. So I've been taking the pup out for walks and taking lots of photographs of him. And they're actually, some of them are turning out okay.
Okay, good. Right. What are you going to do with the photos? Anything or just for yourself?
I have returned to Instagram for the first time in nearly 10 years. So that's been fun.
Okay.
Not sure. I think the long-term dream would be to become a professional dog photographer, because that's apparently a thing that people do. And I never realized that, and that would be great. But at the moment, we're just having fun and building up a portfolio.
Sounds good. Funnily enough, I took my daughter to get to the dentist the other week, and just around the corner from there is like a dog grooming salon. So we walked past there, and there was just 3 dogs on a mat in front of a backdrop, just being the goodest of dogs, having photos taken of them. So having those kind of shots is a thing. I know it's a thing. I've seen it. How she got the dogs to sit still, for like they would like must have been either really well trained or she was holding something to keep their attention.
Treats or toys usually.
Yeah. So there is like a real, I think, that there's an appetite from people to have those kind of photos, because for a lot of people, like, dogs aren't pets. They're part of the family.
Yeah. And you know, as much as anyone wants to go and get their kids photographed to have up around the house, people want to go get their dogs photographed to have up around the house.
Yeah.
And it's a great thing to practice as well at the moment, because you can do a lot of stuff outside in natural light. So I don't have to invest in sort of studio backdrop, strobe lights, and all that kind of stuff at the moment, where I'm still practicing and getting used to stuff. I can do it all with natural lighting.
There you go. Sounds good. So you don't want to be a YouTuber anymore. This is your calling now.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The YouTube's fun. Now, it's kicking me in the teeth a little bit at the moment.
Oh no! Why?
The views just aren't there. I've been buried, unfortunately. But you take 6 months off; it's to be expected.
But apparently, I've read up on this. Like, YouTube apparently doesn't punish you for that, and yet sometimes feels like it does.
Definitely feels like it does.
Yeah. Oh well, folks, if you're listening to this and you're not already subscribed to Conor, like, links down below. Go to it. Speaking of dogs, the last video, which I will admit I haven't watched yet, is around which would be the best dog Pokemon, yeah?
Yeah, which one would be the best one to have as a pet in if Pokemon were real?
Oh, I need to. You know what? I'm going to watch that tomorrow morning before I'm off to Manchester tomorrow for my work's Christmas party. So this is the work that I haven't actually started at yet.
I was going to say, is it the one you just left? You're still attending their party and making them pay for you?
No, I'm not. I have done that once before though, but it was. You had to pay for yourself, so it was fine. But I thought, I like the people, I'll go along. But this one is literally just, you're starting next Tuesday. Oh, well, do you want to come along the Thursday before for a work's Christmas do? And the invite says it finishes at 1:30 in the morning. I'm like, yeah, I'm not lasting that long.
I'm not sticking around that long.
No, I've already agreed because I don't know anyone, and because I'm not drinking anymore because the doctors asked me not to drink anyway. That's a whole other thing. Nothing to worry about. I'm not going anywhere. Basically, I've said, you know what, once it gets to 9:30 and on the agenda, it says, oh yeah, at this time, DJ comes on and everyone's socializing. I'm just going to quietly bow out, I think, just to, play play it safe. Don't want to be making an absolute fool of myself before I've technically even started.
To be fair, those work dues always go really quickly downhill once the drinks start flowing. Like, I've seen some really creepy things that I wish I didn't see at Christmas dues. So I think you're making the right choice.
Thank you. Yeah, he is hoping. Let's jump into the first question that we have had submitted this week. One of three. It's been a busy week. So this one comes courtesy of Tony, who asks, which region would you tell a parallel storyline of past events and present events to unravel a mystery around a legend or group of legendary Pokemon? So this obviously comes courtesy of Tony watching Monarch, which is part of the Monsterverse, isn't it, with Godzilla, King Kong.
Yeah, the Universal.
That's it. Which, funnily enough, I've only seen the original Godzilla, and that is it.
Which is probably the weakest one of the four that are out.
Yeah, because I remember just being a bit frustrated in that film. Because, like, about halfway through, I realized what they were going for, which is the whole Jaws thing of, you don't show, you tell, you build it up. But what was really annoying is every time Godzilla's about to fight, it's like, oh, the camera pans away, or the crate's shut on the door, and I'm like, I just want to see a monster fight. That's why I've come to see this film. But I will admit, I have watched a lot of the monster fights on YouTube.
Yeah, they listen to their audience on that one, and basically the next Godzilla film is just monster fights. Yeah. King Kong is great. Like, Skull Island is a fantastic movie. Not even just for monster fights, it's just a really good movie and really good fun. Godzilla vs. Kong kind of goes off the rails a little bit. There's the whole Hollow Earth theory going on. They travel to the center of the Earth and flip upside down, and it's crazy. The science doesn't make any sense, but it's giant monsters kicking the crap out of each other. Who needs the science to make sense? It's good fun. I enjoy this series a lot.
Okay, so this question, is it, something, what can you speculate on? What do you want to come up with here? Have you got anything?
So I think if we're going to do, is it past, present, and future, or just past and present?
So Tony mentions about three main characters. So should we go past, present, and future?
Okay, so the future's a difficult one because, as far as we're aware, the only future world we've seen of Pokemon is everybody turns to robots. So that'd be interesting. Yes. I mean, a simple answer then, if you're going to follow past, present, and future, you follow the Donphan line, which is the only ones we have: a past Paradox form, a future Paradox form, and our present one. That'd be kind of cool. But I think if I'm going to be honest, I want to see the legendary beasts.
Okay.
I want to see the life of Raikou, Entei, and Suicune before they became those Pokemon. And then as they are now, and then what becomes of them in the future. And I think you can do it really well, especially in Johto, because you've got Celebi, who has access to time travel. And as I spoke about last week, Celebi's time travel, it's all very linear, and they can actually all converge from different timelines or from different times into one point in time. They can all converge at once. So there'd be quite a cool way to flip back and forth between them.
And we've already got a character for the present, which is it Yucine?
Yes.
So we've already got one of the three characters that we need, and then you could literally have it of, okay, the past character and the future character is similar to how it is in Monarch. It's different in Monarch. So it's real life father and son playing the same character in the show, but in this, what you could do is, well, it's a descendant, so it's actually Yucine's, ancestor. And
I'll go a different way with it. Actually, I would say that Yucine works for the present, but I think in the past you need to have a woman who goes on to be the first kimono girl.
Yes, that works.
Who are intrinsically tied to Ho-Oh, who is intrinsically tied to the beasts. So you've then got them. You've got the idea that Ho-Oh is... I still think that Ho-Oh is using Unknown's power more so than its own. I think that's how it rides the line between life and death as a phoenix.
Okay, because
So you
Unknown's
can
powers in the games are very different than the movies, aren't
in
they?
the anime and stuff, yeah. So I think you could have an archaeologist character in the future so you've got the past is focused on Ho-Oh, the present is focused on Suicune and legendary beasts, and the future is focused on Unknown. And then you get all three storylines connect via these Pokemon. I think that would be really cool, actually.
I like that idea a lot. It's really is a shame that, considering how many little pieces of time travel we have had and Pokemon that can deal with time travel, we haven't really had this outside of the anime, really.
Yeah, Heart Gold, Soul Silver did a little bit of time travel, and I think the original Crystal game did time travel.
I'm really struggling with this because Johto and that element of the story is so strong, and it kind of has all the pieces that you need for this puzzle. So I'm struggling to come up with something else that isn't just me making stuff up, I guess. Like, that one feels like it could, what you've proposed feels like it just could nicely fit into, a Legends game or something else. So I'm not going to add anything to that. I think that's the correct answer, and that's the one that we go for.
Okay, fair enough. Sorry for stealing that if it was your idea as well.
I should have gone first. If you've if you've got a comment or question, you can reach us by leaving a comment on our podcast on YouTube, by emailing goldenrodpod@gmail.com, by leaving it on our Discord channel, or by using the hashtag goldenrodpod on Twitter. Let's talk about Paldean Wins episode 3, which I struggle with this one because it had been so long since we watched the first 2 episodes, and this is part of the problem when they release them so infrequently.
Yeah, they're like a month apart.
Yeah, so I kind of sat there going, what happened at the end of the last episode? And then trying to recap what the characters' names are as well. And I'm going to probably butcher some of these names, to be quite honest with you. But this episode, take a breath, just starts with a bit of a recap that Alicus has lost the 3 matches in a row to Nemona. And to help out with this footage that they are creating as part of a video to promote the school, they talk about potentially going out and filming Team Star. And I don't know if you caught this. One of them mentioned that they're called the Calf Squad. And this is the first we've heard of it. This isn't in the games. Is this to do with the fact that they go in?
Yes, it is in the games. I'm pretty
sure.
Is it? Yeah, because all the Team Star names. So what's the what does Penny call herself?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, so Penny calls herself by a certain name, and all the Team Star clans, the groups, are specific stars within the oh god, the words are failing me now. I apologize. So the Team Star groups are named after specific stars in a constellation, which Penny calls herself.
Whoa! I did not know that.
Yep.
I can see Conor furiously
gonna try and find what she calls herself.
I thought the Calf Squad was literally because they were going to spend time with Eri, who's the fighting type Team Star. So Calf is in working out your calves. Like, that's where I landed, which I think still works. But so there's a star thingy.
Cassiopeia. There you go. That's what she calls herself.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was so that's a constellation.
Yes.
Right.
It used to be, it's named after a queen in ancient Greek mythology. There you go.
Oh, learn something new every day. I like that. Okay.
But yes. I know that much. I don't remember too much about it. Constellation in the northern sky, easily recognized by a group of 5 bright stars forming slightly irregular W.
Oh, okay.
I will try and find.
I'm gonna look out for that next time I'm outside. In fact, I'm gonna go now.
No, you're not gonna give me the stars, are you?
He's not. No, he's trying to search for an image.
No, I was trying to look for the names, but it just says Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, and Epsilon, which is not quite what I'm looking for.
No.
Anywho, carry on.
Anywho, we get a bit of resolution from last week that we didn't get, is Alicus apologizing for their outburst to their Pokemon. And this is where Homer feels a little bit left out and goes, I'm going out. I'm going to get some Team Star footage. And there's a few little things I love at this part. Is one, we actually see someone riding a Cyclozar, which is absolutely criminal that we don't get that in the games, do we? I'm pretty sure we don't get it in the games. It was one of the things we were speculating what we thought would happen.
I think you might see one.
I don't know if we do.
I know you see them parked up.
Yes, you see them parked up with the seat and the handlebars and everything. There's a seat, and the only reason I don't think we see it is because I don't think it was ever programmed in the game. Because at the very start of the game, when you leave the academy, there's a scene where a student goes, "Oh, let's go Cyclozar," and runs up to the Cyclozar as if they're going to mount the Cyclozar, and then the screen cuts away because they've obviously not programmed in that mounting animation. So I don't think we ever got it, but I'm glad we get to see it in this because, like, I absolutely love that about Paldean, and I would have loved to see more people on the Cyclozars roaming around, tracking them down, something else like that. And another nod that we get is the star.
The Hasta la Vista sign.
Yeah. So Homer, I've actually got in my notes, Homer does the thing. Brackets, star movement. So he tracks down the Team Star base. There's even a vending machine in the background, which is in one of the shots. Like, there's literally Homer, a couple of hills and stuff, and then just a vending machine just randomly there. Absolutely love it. And what we get here is we get to see a couple of the goings on at a Team Star base. So we get to see the Starmobile, and it's being worked on. We get to have a training montage of Homer taking part in, working out, which Eri would completely be down for with her Team Star members. So yeah, we get the training montage. Their Quaxley evolves into a Quaxwell, and we even get the evolution music from the games as well. And there's another couple of nods that we get to the games, which I really enjoyed, where the Starmobile awakens and Every feeds a Lumberry to cure its status. And I think one of the things I liked about this episode is it helps to humanize Team Star. And I know they do that in the game, but this made them really feel like, they're real people, and I can understand why people gravitate to them.
Yes, I get that impression that that's what they were going for. I almost feel like they tipped it too far. So
okay,
the reason Homer goes out there, is that his name, Homer?
Homer, yeah.
So the reason he goes out there is because he works for the school press, for lack of a better term, and they reject his story about Nimona winning 3 battles in a row against the same guy, which I think is a little bit of a dig against Nimona, and a thing of like, that's not a story. She wins everything. It's just there's nothing there. Yeah. So I like that. I like that little bit of inclusion.
Yeah.
The story would be, sorry?
The story would be that she loses. Now, that would be the story, but her winning is it just seems like, that's an everyday occurrence. No one beats her.
And nobody needs to big her up anymore. And I'm pretty sure I can't remember what they call her. It's not like a prodigy, but they refer to her as just being an unnaturally good trainer, which if you've played the post game of Scarlet and Violet, she's not a big fan of. So I love that little bit of addition. But they, as you say, they then go on to say, we should get a story on Team Star. Now, what I get from this is that they're intending to do a hit piece. They're intending to do Team Star are the worst people around. Look at all the evil that they're doing. And Homer jumps in on it for some reason, he says, "Oh yeah, I can use it in my video that's to promote the school. We can use Team Star," which I don't get. That doesn't make any sense. But he goes out there and is immediately welcomed into the base. Aerie is way, way softer spoken than I ever imagined her to be.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like in the video, in the game, she comes across as someone that would be very shouty, very to the point. Whereas in this, it feels like you could actually sit down and just have a conversation with her.
And don't get me wrong, like I wanted her to come across as a stronger woman. I mean, she dresses like a wrestler with the face paint and everything else. Yeah. I would have preferred her personally to have a bit of a butcher voice, for lack of a better term.
I get that.
You know, give me some of that representation. But she's very soft-spoken. Everybody's really lovely to him. And as he leaves, he decides, "Oh, I'm going to just delete all these photos that I've taken because I don't want to do this hit piece. There's no story here." I'm like, well, no. The story is, hey, guys, this lot aren't as bad as we're making them out to be.
I've actually got it written down here. The quote that he says is that the good people who look out for their own, which... Yeah, so there's your story. Team Star aren't as bad as everyone else is making out. They're just misunderstood, or people that are cast out from society, or you know, the cliques of the school. And like, it's a good thing that they welcome others in and help one another.
Yeah. So obviously they couldn't do that because I assume that this is a precursor to the game.
Yes.
And if everybody in the school knew that Team Star weren't bad guys, then we wouldn't have the game that we played. But I just can't get on board with the character decision.
No, it's strange because how Team Star are presented in this feels like it's post game, because it is, you know, the conversation where the I can't remember his name now, runs the academy, basically says to Benny, "Oh no, we're going to set up these." I can't remember what they are. They're not independent schools. They're
he wants to training camps.
That's it. This is what that feels like, and it's almost like they've gone, okay, this is a prequel, but we need elements from the post game. I think it's one of those where you're not supposed to think about it too much, which is a real shame. Because I am enjoying this series because it helps to flesh out parts of Gen 9 that should have been in the game. And it's a real shame, really. There's a couple of things. Well, there's one thing that, just to add on, that Aerie's face paint, I just don't think it translates well to anime. I like it in the game. I think it works in the game, but in the anime, I was just like, oh, this just, it doesn't look. I don't know how to describe it. It just looks.
See, I didn't mind it.
Did you not?
No, I thought it was fine. I found it a little bit odd when her eyelashes are so brightly colored. I'm like, girl, that mascara must be a pain to put on every morning. But other than that, I thought it was fine.
No. Okay. Must just be me then. The only other thing that we get is, as part of the video, the trio decides to get Iono involved, as well as Elite Four members and gym leaders, to help create the video to showcase the school. So do you think we're getting that in the next episode?
I don't know if there's going to be another episode.
Do you reckon that's it?
We covered all three of our main characters now and all three of our starter Pokemon. What would the next episode be? Them making the video or the video that they made?
I honestly think we will get one more that kind of leads into, because they mentioned in a previous episode that I can't remember the exact wording, and I'm paraphrasing, but they're making the video to help the new person that is coming to the school, which I took as, oh, it's the protagonist it's us from Gen 9, which makes me think that they are. I honestly think we could get another episode where it's pulling in Iono and the Elite Four and gym leaders, bit of a cameo. Here's the video. Isn't this fantastic? And then the academy. I can't remember his name. Why can I not remember his name? Clavel, that's it. I honestly could see the final shot being Clavel walking up to the house in Generation 9 with video in hand, which could potentially be in that bag that he delivers alongside the clothes. That's how I could see this wrapping up. I feel like the first couple of episodes have all been about, we need to make this video, and they haven't made the video, and that's why I think there's...
Yeah, they need to pay that off.
Yes.
I will say, though, in discussion of this video, they do that one thing when they always do video production in these shows that winds me up to no end.
Go on, what is it?
So they talk about, oh, we want to get Iona involved. Oh, well, she's an influencer. She hasn't got time for us. Well, what if we make a viral video? It's like, yeah, no, that's easy to do. Why didn't we think of that? Let's just make a viral video. That's genius. So smart.
As someone that is worked in communications and marketing for over 10 years, yes, I have been in meetings where the suggestion's been, can we just make it go viral? Yeah, you know what? Yeah, give me 5 minutes and I'll knock it out of the park. I don't think people quite understand that something going viral typically means...
It's not intentional most of the time.
It's not intentional, yeah.
You don't get a choice in whether something goes viral or not.
You do not. Yeah, I enjoy this show for what it is. And it is scratching a bit of an itch for me because I am ready now to watch the new series, which, funnily enough, comes to Netflix in February, at least over here in the UK. The subbed version, because I like my sub versions.
Dubbed version.
Oh, yeah, I said sub, didn't I? I always get those two mixed up, and I don't know why, because I know what they stand for. I don't know why I get them mixed up. But yeah, I cannot wait for the dubbed version. And this I think this is why I'm enjoying these episodes, because they're just enough to make me go, oh yeah, the Pokemon anime is... It never really feels bad. It's always good or better. And this is definitely, on that baseline. And yeah, I want the new series to come out.
That being said, To Be a Pokemon Master is now available on Netflix.
Oh yeah, we've got, is it 12 episodes of that?
Yep.
Okay, maybe we need to start going back to 3 episodes a week, because I don't think I can.
Do you want to cover it again?
Oh, I want to cover those episodes. Those episodes are like, funnily enough, it literally about half an hour before we jumped on this call, realized that Pokemon Ultimate Journeys is on Netflix. So I went back and watched the Charizard versus Pikachu. I'm not gonna lie, when it's showing Pikachu with all these, Pokemon friends, I got a little bit emotional. I'm not gonna lie. That is just absolutely fantastic. And then he gets up and the music kicks in and the animation is glorious. So yeah, I feel like I need to watch those 12 episodes to kind of wrap up my childhood.
Yeah, understandable.
So let's start watching them again, so then we can discuss them. Because
these episodes aren't long enough, so we need to add 3 episodes of an anime in here.
I know, right? I know. Actually, you know what? Thinking about it, in 2 weeks' time, we've got the Indigo Disk. Maybe this is one for over Christmas. Like we watch the episodes over Christmas and come back in January.
And that feels more give our view in the entire series as a whole.
Potentially, that feels like it feels more manageable. Yeah, let's do that then. Let's do that. Let's check in with another one of our listeners, Mika Bryant, who I know always jumps out of their chair whenever we mention their name on the podcast. So
we do it on purpose.
We do it on purpose every single week. So they've written in on the YouTube channel. Surely nobody actually could believe that the Blueberry Academy could sink as part of the storyline and be destroyed. So they're referring to the second piece of DLC. That would mean the developers creating this biome for us to explore and have access to new Pokemon, returning Pokemon, but at some point during the experience to destroy it, leaving the player without access to the new content anymore. And we kind of discussed this before. Yeah. Before recording.
I think it will be the threat that it could sink, that the hubris of the Academy has become too big. Terapagos within that big dome is going to become too powerful and threatens to sink the Academy should nothing be done by the player. But obviously you intervene and it doesn't happen. But you said
that there are other games that have done this before where there is a past the point of no return, and typically it says if you go any further, then you're going to wrap up the story. You wrap up the story, and then it reverts to that save file because it's okay. Now you can do that story again, or you can do the open world, because in those open world games, whatever that final mission is typically destroys part of the map, or characters die. So in video game logic, there is a way to kind of reverse that. But you...
in theory, however, I don't think that's the case because I think it would be Terapagos that sinks it, which means that Terapagos is not caught by you by the time this happens, which means if you're reverting to a save file, you're reverting to one where you never caught Terapagos, which means it's then just not obtainable. And if they do sink it and you're allowed to, continue on afterwards, then you've got a whole bunch of Pokemon you can no longer shiny hunt. So it's just not really going to be how they do it.
I could see a version where the map changes once it gets past a certain point and the Pokemon aren't impacted, but that would require Game Freak to create 2 variations of a map, and we already know that they don't have a lot of resource to do a single map, so I don't see that happening as well. I think you've hit the nail on the head that we will get a, oh no, the dome is in danger, and your character comes in, saves the day, and the dome is absolutely fine. Maybe some minor changes to the dome, but I can't see it over like a complete overhaul of that.
Because the other issue is we know we're going back to Paldea.
Yeah.
So we can't have this big end game story happen in Indigo Disk if we've then got to go back to Paldea and continue on.
Yeah. The alternative is...
I almost think it's Terapagos breaks free and that threatens to sink the Academy, but you do something. I don't know.
Yeah, the alternative is they just hand wave it away of, oh yeah, it's in danger, oh, it's damaged. You go back to Paldea, you return to Blu-ray Academy, and they just go, oh no, we fixed it.
It would be cool. That being said, if we're going to fight Terapagos and the area we fight it in doesn't become just strewn with crystals everywhere, that last beyond that point, I will be very upset. Because we've seen what happened, A, in Area 0, and B, in that lab where the professor died, that there's crystals all over the place.
Yeah.
So I want to see a fight happen, crystals pop up everywhere, and them to remain.
Yeah, I would like that, actually. It feels like, if Game Freak are going to do this right, and I think we're both bought in on the idea that Terapagos isn't as benevolent as maybe it seems in the anime, because it's a small little tortoise at the moment. It all looks happy and everything. I don't buy in that this thing... I believe that this Pokemon is capable of destruction, a bit like Eternatus is.
I mean, again, I'm convinced it's already killed someone.
Yeah. And what I want to see is, okay, if this Pokemon is dangerous, if this Pokemon can do what he did to Area 0, then either Terapagos isn't dealt with in Blueberry Academy, and therefore the dome is fine, there's no damage to it. But if it gets free and causes damage there, I don't want it to just be hand wave it away with a little bit of dialogue. I want to see the consequences of this thing getting free. Like you said, crystals everywhere. Because that was one of the great things about Paldea, is that, Area 0, while I don't necessarily agree with the Pokemon chosen for Area 0, I must admit it was fantastic going down there and just feeling like, oh yeah, this doesn't feel like up
it's
there.
A different world.
Yeah, and that's, hopefully we can get something similar in the Indigo Disk where the biome changes. But no, we don't think it's going to sink, and if it was going to sink, there is one Pokemon and only one Pokemon that can help us.
Oh, right, yes.
You came up with
I know, I did. I came up with a segue and then forgot. That was like half an hour ago. Yes, Regitube, okay. the savior of Blueberry Academy.
Right, we just need to point this out right now. Regitube is not a real Pokemon. It is not a legendary that is coming to the games. It is nothing that has been leaked. Regitube... I came across Regitube because I follow someone who is modding Pokemon BDSP to include Megas, legendaries and Pokemon that aren't in that game. They are modding the hell out of that game, and it looks like it's going to be the definitive way to play that game. And I saw a post where it was literally a bunch of blue tubes in the shape of a Reggie waddling forward. And I was like, what is this? And then saw an article about it. We discussed it. You've apparently seen on TikTok?
Well, I saw Gator X put up a video about Regitube first. Okay. But yes, I had seen the original TikTok video. Not on TikTok, because I don't have it, because my life would be ruined if I had that. I'm bad enough with YouTube Shorts. I can't download in TikTok. It's a bad time.
Yep, agreed.
But yes, I have seen the video of the... What is he? Do they sell rubber rings?
I'm not quite sure. I'm looking at the still image of it, and there is a butt ton of blue rubber rings and yellow dinghies, I think, but they might be yellow rings as well. They're that far away, I can't tell. So it's someone that either works at, I don't know, some kind of water resort. They must do, because like this person getting in is obviously just wearing swim shorts. So they must be at a water park. I can't believe how far we're going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, anyway, the point is, there's a guy who sticks his arms, legs, and body inside a bunch of inflatable water tubes, rubber rings, as we call them over here, to just walk around like a giant Michelin Man. And it looks great. And then there was somebody who took that to Twitter, took the video, and played the Diamond and Pearl theme over it. And then people called it Regitube. And now people have gone, well, that's cool. Let's go ahead and make artwork of Regitube. Let's go ahead and make 3D models of Regitube. Let's go ahead and hack Regitube into this game.
It's phenomenal.
The Pokemon fan base are great.
This is absolutely
Do you know what? Worse,
honestly,
everyone at Game Freak is currently working out how to shut this down.
3.6 million views on TikTok. So this is what we were talking about when we said make something go viral. The person posting this had no idea this was going to go viral. They just thought, oh, this is a bit of fun. This is a bit of fun. Kind of looks and waddles like a Reggie. Oh, let's whack some music on it, whack it up on social media, and now we've got this. It's absolutely fantastic. It is a shame that Game Freak won't ever adapt this, because it feels actually quite like, when I see it in this BDSP clip, like the dots aren't perfectly aligned on it, but the rest of it actually feels like a real Pokemon. It's that bad it feels good.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the eyes have always been odd on Reggies anyway.
Yeah.
It is odd that they kind of flow between the tubes rather than being stuck to them. They're almost like lights emitted in front of it. But it's a cool design.
It is. It really is. So,
what typing would you make it?
It'd have to be water. It'd just have to be pure water.
Or would it be flying? It's mostly air.
Oh, could we see the first dual?
The first dual type, who was exactly water flying Reggie.
I like that a lot. Someone has even posted on Twitter, or X, sorry, Regitube type water, the inner tube Pokemon ability overcoat, and then they've actually given it a Pokedex entry. Its body is made of a durable yet light material, making it appear as if it is skiing across the water. It's theorized that it formed after Regigigas went whitewater rafting once and wouldn't shut up about it. That's absolutely phenomenal. Okay, so serious question though. Do you think we're getting more Reggies?
Not in this generation.
No.
I think we got Regieleki and Regidrago.
They were introduced in Generation 8 after Regigigas was Gen 4, and then the original Regi trio were Gen 3.
Now, I personally don't think Regieleki and Regidrago were that necessary to begin with.
I agree, yeah.
I love the ages theory. That is, the Regis all represent different ages, like the Stone Age, the Ice Age, the Modern Age with Regi Steel, and then you've got, well, no, because then you've got the Bronze Age, I guess, would be Regi Steel, or the Steel Age, and then you've got Regieleki is the Modern Age, and Regidrago is like the Dark Ages, with then Regigigas being Ancient Times. It's a thought. I don't know where you take that going forward. It's also kind of on that level of all the fire type starters are from the Zodiac, which we now know is not the case.
Yeah, just coincidence. People looking for patterns and then finding things that align to said patterns. The Regis kind of feel like Eevee to me now, where, you know, the last couple of generations people have been theorizing we're getting another Eevee, we're getting another evolution, and it just kind of didn't happen. I think that's why Regieleki and Regidrago being added was a surprise, because no one actually expected it. And I think that if they are going to introduce more Regis, we're going to have a gap between...
The thing is, Regigigas made sense because we often see trio masters. If we get a trio of Pokemon, we get a trio master. So the Regis didn't have that. Giving them one made sense. The same as we kind of got Lugia as a surrogate trio master for the birds, Ho-Oh for the legendary beasts, Keldeo, although not a master of the Swords of Justice, is it D'Artagnan? Is that the fourth one?
What's
the Musketeers? The three Musketeers plus one.
Yes.
Who is the plus one D'Artagnan?
Is D'Artagnan a Pokemon?
No, it's a Musketeer.
Oh, right, you're on about the actual Musketeers.
The actual Musketeers.
Right,
so there are three Musketeers,
names,
and then there's a fourth one that joins. That's what Keldeo is supposed to represent. So you've got the Swords of Justice, who are three Musketeers.
Yeah.
Keldeo's the fourth one. Whoever it's called. I know one of them is called D'Artagnan. That's about it. Right. The point is, it made sense for Regigigas to be added. I don't think it made as much sense for Regieleki and Regidrago to be added. They're cool additions. I think they're great-looking Pokemon. I don't need more Regis.
Yeah, see, Regieleki, I love the design of that. Regidrago is actually the one that I don't like the design of, because it's stated in lore that it ran out of energy and it didn't get to finish creating Regidrago. But Regidrago looks like, if that's only part assembled, it looks like it would be much bigger than the other Regis, which all kind of have a similar look. It's one of the reasons why I'm not that keen on that. I like the design, but I don't like the design of it as a Regi.
See, I love the fact that it means that dragon energy is a thing.
Yeah, I like that. That makes sense.
And condensed draconic energy can be crystalline, and what that says about the Pokemon world.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when a lot of the, gods of this world are all dragons. So I think that's very cool.
Yeah.
That being said, we're probably not getting a new Regi in this game, because we have had, and I don't know if you want to talk about this, we've had some
okay.
We've had some data mine leaks.
Oh, how much do I... Okay, right. I think, if it's okay with you, shall we move on to the next question, then move on to 2 weeks away from the Indigo Disk? Because then if we want to cover it, it's the last thing that we do. And then if people want to turn off at that point, they can turn off at that point. Yeah?
That's fair.
Okay,
that's fair.
Let's do that then. So let's move on to another suggestion, which isn't on YouTube. This is amazing. An email to goldenrodpod@gmail.com from, and I'm sorry if this isn't your name, it's what came up on the from, Dabfam. So I want to know if you think the Disc Pokemon Terapagos form, So you're talking about the big one with the shell with the different typings on its back.
The one that we see in the Scarlet and Violet book.
That's the one. Will it be in the DLC? And if so, how do you think we'll meet it? So I think we're both agreed on the first part. It'll be in the DLC.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah, I don't see how it. I just don't see how it can't be, because like if the only reason that is a question is because the anime's come out and we've seen an alternative form of it. If that
we've seen baby Terapagos, who is either a pre-evolved form, which I don't think is the case, because I think there's one Terapagos. I think it's closer to like Zygarde cells, where it is a fragment of it. And I think the fragment that what's her name, Liko, is carrying around on her pendant is the same fragments that's in everybody's terastallization, Terra orbs. So each one of us is effectively carrying around a baby Terapagos that's just imprisoned.
Oh, that's dark. Oh, okay.
It is. But you think about what the professor did and the fact that they're already not a good person.
Yeah.
And as I say, I think there's going to be a lot of people who are involved in that. I've already said that I think Jacques' involved. I think Clavel's involved. And I think that Cirano is going to be involved as well. And I think Cirano is probably the one who is more okay with it, shall we say, than the rest. I think Clavel and Jacques kind of stepped away. They were like, "Hey, this is cool, but I'm done now. I don't want to be attached to this." Which is weird, because then Clavel allows it to be used by his students, and he basically has a tie-in with the League, who all use it as well. And
the way I see
it raises a lot of questions.
It does, but the way I see that is like, you know, he isn't the scientific authority. The scientific authority were, you know, maybe a couple of the professors or the faculty that works there and the professor. And if they all say, no, this is safe, you don't need to worry about it, you don't need to understand it, because only the professor fully understands it, then he's probably going to go, well, it's safe to use, and therefore I'm okay with my students using it.
Yeah. So I think that there's definitely an element of these fractions of Terapagos being taken away. And I think there could even be something to do with the time machine itself, because we see those same hexagon patterns all up the wall that gives off that prismatic light. I think if we got Terapagos back there, it could maybe absorb that and become more powerful. And that's maybe what the return to Paldea is. Return to Area 0, get it down there, get it in the time machine, get it to absorb all of its power, and then it goes big mode.
Yeah, because what is it? Paradise Protocol?
The Paradise Protection Protocol.
That's
is what the professor is the AI professor is taken over by. So it's like a inbuilt defense mechanism for the time machine.
Do you think that there's potential that the Paradise Protection Protocol is actually built in case Terapagos comes back to the source of its energy, which is where the professor went?
Interesting thought. I would say no. I think the Paradise Protection Protocol is either Terapagos' will. So Terapagos saying, you don't get to shut down my power source that I had someone build. Because again, you've got this whole thing where Heath went down and basically designed the time machine during a blackout. He meets Terapagos, blacks out, wakes up, he's written this whole thing out. It's in his handwriting, but he doesn't remember doing it. And then it's not till the professor comes along later and is actually smart enough to decipher the writings, and then probably meets Terapagos, uses his energy from the terastallization project, and then makes a time machine from that. So there's a lot of moving pieces here, and this is what I mean about this story. It's got a lot of work to do to tie all this together. And we've still not even touched on the circles in the cave or the plate.
Yeah, we still, it's, every time you bring that up in the podcast, I'm always like, oh yeah, I forgot about them. And yet it feels like the more you talk about, Terapagos and the potential ending of the DLC and the whole of the Gen 9 story, the more reassured I am that Game Freak have laid some groundwork for this. There are hints and nods that I don't think we're supposed to understand at this point, but that's by design. And some of the things that maybe that we've come across in the base game are not, everyone's come across these metal discs, the metal slabs, and been like, what are these? And the patterns on the floor. And I think that is by design of, okay, they're leading up to something, but you don't have all the pieces. And, because when they built this game, they would have known they were doing DLC. Flat out would have known.
I mean, as I said when the game came out, I was like, the game's not finished. And it feels like they've ripped bits out specifically for the DLC, which I was then even more disappointed in when we got the teal mask. And it's like, here's a whole new story that's got nothing to do with anything we've covered. It's like, okay, fine. If that's the way you want to do it, crack on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What was my original point? I've completely forgotten.
I don't know. This is the problem.
Yes, you're definitely gonna fight the big version.
Oh yeah, it is going to be like the Eternamax battle in Gen 8. Like, that is going to be the point of, stuff's hit the fan. What are we going to do about it? And then the heroes assemble, whether or not that is, you, Carmine, and Kieran finally coming together as a cohesive unit. Or, who knows, maybe it's you and the 3 other students that you visited, Kitakami with. Maybe you're the 4 heroes.
I would love to
Legend.
See, and this might be a stretch, I would love to see the Elite 4 get involved in that. Because the Elite 4 have had probably more character... not progress.
Sorry.
Sorry, the Elite 4 from Paldean.
Right, that's where I was going. Yeah, I was like, what, the new ones?
They've had more character development than any Elite 4 we've had before. We haven't seen anything from like gym leaders or the Elite 4 since Gen 5, when the gym leaders showed up to fight, which is such a cool moment. I think it would be great to see the Elite 4 show up here, especially seeing as if you do the art courses. So this is one of those things where I think that Jacques is involved in the terrestrialization project, because the dragon trainer from the Elite 4, I've forgotten his name, unfortunately, is the art teacher, and he talks about Clavel, Jacques, and the professor all used to work together. Well, Clavel says he used to work with the professor, and Jacques and the dragon trainer says that Jacques used to work with Clavel, and then says, "Oh, by the way, Jacques' glasses are hexagonal." Did you ever notice that?
Oh, how have I never noticed
you ever notice
that? Now that you
and
mention
then moves on, and it's like, what are you hinting at here? Because that line comes out of nowhere.
Wow.
So I would love to see him specifically be a case of like, I've known this was trouble from the start, and this is your eggs. This is your chickens coming home to roost.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
I'm gonna help stop this as the Elite 4, and then we may finally as well get to see Gita not be useless, which would be great.
Yeah. Well, wasn't there something about Gita's glove? I saw some pictures and arrows on YouTube, but I don't know if that was
so. Yeah,
something...
I thought. When you fight the Elite 4, they all put on a glove, which I thought was like an eye, but it's supposed to be the compass, supposedly.
Oh, okay, right. So it's
but it definitely looks like some kind of Illuminati eye group.
Yeah. So
I know people want to believe that Gita is evil or a robot or whatever the case may be.
I don't
she's
see
more
that.
important than she actually is in the story so far. I think that if she leads her team to be like, okay, even if she maybe is on the side of Clavel and on the side of the professor and Cirano, as the case may be, and then you've got to team up with the Elite 4 against them.
Oh, see, I don't see that second part happening, but the Elite 4 potentially turning up to help. When you said that, all that flashed through my head is just the end of the world. Terapagos is overpowered. Everyone's panicking, and Larry's just there going, oh, I guess we're doing this. And he's just his deadpan expression of, whatever, let's just crack on with saving the world. He just doesn't
I
get
completely forgot about Larry, but you're right. You're totally right.
Absolutely fantastic. So the second part of that question is, how do you think we'll meet it? And we kind of touched on that last week, where I think we were both in agreement that Terapagos is in that dome. It's at the top because they mention about it, the light source, and the fact that you can terrestrialize in that area, which is in a completely different region. It's in Univers. It isn't in Paldean. So there is a link there. And I think,
and it doesn't have the crystals strewn around it like it does in Kitakami. So we know that Terapagos' influences have been in Kitakami, whereas we haven't seen anything like that so far in, well, Unova, but in the Indigo Disk.
Yeah. I think the only hint that we've had at that is they've already mentioned that raid dens are going to be
a thing.
And raid dens are the crystals that we get. But I think we pretty much touched on this as well, that, we think that we'll meet it as part of the story progression, and something will threaten the Indigo Disk, which will lead to the release of Terapagos, whether or not it's because someone is doing evil things or because they are doing something they believe is for the greater good, and it gets released and, oh, okay, this thing isn't as benevolent or as easily controllable as we originally thought. I think I settled last week that I think Kieran's going to be responsible for it. I don't think you were on board with that. From what I remember.
I don't think Kieran. Now, I know people are already under the impression that Kieran is either possessed or being mind controlled or is in some kind of influence of the Pokemon they're calling Dokutaru, which is the peach Pokemon that you see at the back of the shop in Kitakami, the little purple thing.
Oh, I've missed that. Okay.
Oh, okay. So
this is proper tinfoil theory. I love it.
Yeah. Okay. So in Kitakami, at the back of the shop is a little purple peach-looking Pokemon, and people are theorizing that this is the trio master for the Loyal Three, the Loyal Trio. Okay. The reason they're theorizing that is because the game assets for, that little video that you get, the flashback where we get to learn about when Ogerpon first came to the village and his master and things like that, and you see the Loyal Three show up, there is something in the top right hand corner which is cut off, but if you have a look at the game assets, it's Dokutaru. It's that same Pokemon that we see in the back of that shop. So it's definitely a thing. It's definitely involved with them, but it hasn't been revealed to us yet. This is either going to be a mythical at some point released, or, as I say, people think it might be what is influencing Kieran to become so irate, become so angry, because it was found, and the first person I saw point it out was Kayla's Capsule on Twitter, showed that point when Kieran punches the monument just before the three wake up. Yeah, his fist glows purple for a moment.
Okay, right.
For like a fraction of a moment, his fist glows purple. So people think that sometime between the start of your game and then he becomes possessed by this Dokutaru character, this little peach Pokemon, and that is going to be the Trio Master, and that is why Kieran has become is on his villain arc. So we've already got Kieran tied in with a bunch of legendary Pokemon, really. So also tying him in with Terapagos is a lot. Now, Terapagos is also... No! Do not stop the train of thought! Terapagos is also being shown, as I just demonstrated before, to have the power to overtake people's minds and influence them and implant thoughts in them and make them do things without them realizing. The last person he did this to with Heath. So, with Briar there, who is the descendant of Heath, could she also have a similar connection to Terapagos and black out and be led by Terapagos, be mind controlled to release it?
Okay.
There you
You
go.
done?
I'm done
You done. Okay. You right now look like Charlie from Always Sunny with the string connecting everything. It's all connected. It's all connected. Honestly, okay. Funnily enough, while you were ranting for a brief moment, I looked up this thing, and I must admit, what started as okay, that theory just carries no weight. Within a handful of moments listening to you and just skimming through this video, I was like, okay, people are pulling together things, whether or not they are deliberate things and hints that Game Freak have laid out, or whether or not it's just coincidental. I don't know. But there's a possibility. There's a chance. I'll give you that, Connor. There's a chance that Kieran is being mind controlled by a little pink thing that has been in the shops that is also something to do with the legendary trio or whatever they're called, and Ogerpon and all this kind of stuff. Okay, very serious now. Do you think Kieran is being controlled? You're going on record here.
Personally, no. I think controlled, no. Is there a element of influence being exerted over him?
Yeah.
Possibly. Again, the theory goes that the loyal trio are only as quote unquote evil as they are because of the influence of this trio master. Which I kind of get, but I also don't necessarily buy. The thinking is that because this little pink thing is the same color as the toxic chains around their neck, and it's the toxic chains that gave them their strength, their intelligence, and their beauty, and then that's what like makes them so vain. And if you watch one of my videos, it's like, well, that's what the village is trying to protect against outsiders, and there's a whole xenophobia thing going on. Doesn't matter. The idea is that this little pink thing gave him the toxic chain, and it's that toxicity that is infecting Kieran.
Yeah.
I think it's possible. Even if it's possible, I don't think we'll get it fully confirmed for us in the games.
Agreed. Yeah.
Because I think it takes away from Kieran's arc, which is an arc that anybody could go on, and to be like, oh, I was just under the influence of this Pokemon, so therefore I'm in the clear. Isn't quite as good as you beat me, I guess I was in the wrong. Which I'd much prefer. The other thing is as well, I think this Pokemon, because it wasn't introduced to us in Kitakami, either one of two things is going to happen. Either we're going to have story to continue in Kitakami in the second part of the DLC, which would be very cool. So you've got, I already think there's going to be two storylines. You're going to have Briar's storyline, and you're going to have the Elite Four storyline. I expressed last week why I think that beating the Elite Four to get to the Paldea finale would be a bit harsh, considering how hard they seem to think the Elite Four is going to be. So I think you'd finish Briar's storyline, which will be much more like story focused, a lot less difficult to get through, so that you can go and do Terapagos' bit. Which means that the Elite Four then has nothing to go for. So what if you go through the Elite Four, Kieran's the champion, and then beating him, he then goes home to Kitakami, and that's when Dokutaro shows up. That's when the story around that legendary Pokemon comes into play, and the toxins and all that kind of stuff. That's one way they could go with it. The other way, which unfortunately I think is far more likely, is that it's going to be a distribution mythical. And they're just going to give it to you in a couple of months via code.
So, why do you think it'd be a mythical, not a legendary?
Why do I think it would be a mythical, not a legendary? I mean, the only real difference is that mythicals are distributions. And I think with this, we're already getting Terapagos as our main legendary. Now, that being said, we did get Ogerpon and the Loyal Trio all technically as legendaries. So it's possible, but I don't know. I just feel like there's so much mystery around this Pokemon already.
Yeah.
That it's got more of a mythical status than this legend. Because we tell the legend of Ogerpon and the Loyal Three, and you purposely got this purple peach Pokemon in the corner cut off So it's already removed from the legend.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it sits more as a mythical than it does a legendary.
Okay. That whole thing has just kind of frazzled my mind a little bit, to be quite honest with you. I know what I'm going to be doing tomorrow morning is I'm going to be looking up these theory videos. I think this is perhaps people reaching a little bit, because Game Freak seem to do this a lot with their story of, they tell a very simple story and then they kind of leave it to the fans to jump on elements that they've left, and sometimes I think they blow them out of proportion. Now, for all we know, this little cuddly thing is literally just that, a cuddly toy, and when they've been throwing together that video with the Loyal 3, and it's like, oh yeah, it's there's something up there that kind of looks like it. Again, haven't watched the video, so I don't know.
Oh no, so you see the bottom bit of it in the actual game.
Okay. Yes.
People have pulled the assets out and have seen, no, that is exactly what that is.
Wait, so
and it's purposely cut off.
So when we say the asset, are we talking about a 3D model of the thing in the shop, or are we talking about
it's a 2D? So that video that plays is all that black and white 2D. So we got the 2D assets of all the models within that video, and Dokotaro is one of them. This little
okay.
This little peach
so
Pokemon.
how have we come up with this name, by the way? Is that also in the
that's a combination of, I think, Momotaro, which is the Peach Boy, which is what the Loyal Trio are based on.
Okay.
Is the story of the boy who goes and fights the ogre with the dog, the bird, and the monkey.
Right.
Okay. And I think Doku might directly translate as Peach, so it's like Peach Boy combined Dokotaro. Okay. That's just what the fans are calling it at the moment.
Okay, right. This is going to. We've only got 2 weeks to wait as of when this goes live to find out about this. Let's move into a little bit of we're 2 weeks away from the release of the Indigo Disk, and Conor obviously has some insight into the leaks that have come out. And I just
they're not massive. It's more a little bit of it's not huge.
Okay, let's give fair warning to everyone that this is it. If you want a completely leak-free experience of the Indigo Disk, now's the time to jump out, but leave a like on the YouTube video and leave a 5-star review, all that stuff. But if you are still around, Conor, I am, as long as it's nothing to do with the story,
nope,
then I'm okay. I'm okay listening to this.
We hypothetically may have a list of legendary Pokemon that are returning.
Interesting.
Now,
okay.
What's really interesting about this is these are said to be overworld encounters. These aren't terror raids.
Wait, what? Overworld encounters?
Apparently so.
Okay, so this isn't. So that implies that it isn't Dynamax Adventures. That implies it is potentially quests of, oh yeah, there's this Pokemon out, in the ice area. We've heard tales of, something beeping and bopping, and it's Regice, for example.
Okay, so I'll read this verbatim.
Go on then. Yes.
So this is from Light Kitakami, or Light88 on Twitter. List of legendary Pokemon available only once in Scarlet and Violet. Encounters will be static and not in terror raids. There will be exclusives for each version. You will be able to shiny hunt them.
Oh.
So we have all 3 legendary birds, all 3 legendary beasts, Ho-Oh, Lugia, Latios, Latias, Kyogre, Groudon, and Rayquaza. The Swords of Justice minus Keldeo.
Yep.
Zekrom and Reshiram and Kuro. Solgaleo, Lunala, and Necrozma. Kubfu, Spectrier, and Glastrier. And then they do go on to say, this list could be subject to last-minute changes. Mostly could be added more Pokemon. And this is also said that these are the static Pokemon available in-game. They will likely update Pokemon Home so that you can bring more in.
Okay.
But these are static encounters, and what does that mean? Where?
Yeah. Because like,
is this going to be once you take down Terapagos, it opens up, the ability to bring these Pokemon in?
Because I'm trying to think about how they do this, and they've obviously in Gen 8, Gen 8 was a little bit different because Gen 8 they have the Dynamax raids. That's how you got those. So I don't count those as statics because that is you are having to do something to roll a random chance to get something at the end. Whereas for me, the statics of when I traditionally think of static, it is a case of like the ultra wormholes or the I can't remember Hooper's rings in Oras. Like that's what I think of where it's not so much a random number. It is a case of, oh no, they're static in locations. You just have to wait. You just have to do a bit of legwork to get to them. So we could potentially see. Oh, I'm trying to figure out how this plays out because from what we've said there, they're not static. Makes me think it's not Dynamax Adventures or an equivalent. It feels like they are going to be available in the overworld, like the Galarian birds were in the second piece of DLC of, you have to track them down.
Chase them down, which I think is the best implication we've ever had.
Agreed.
Of static, even though they weren't static, they moved, but they were in one place where you could find them.
Yeah, the way I kind of see statics is it's no, you catch that and it is done. You want once you've got them, you're not getting another one.
I think it would be a very cool way to implement the flying mechanic as well.
Oh, you've got to chase down birds.
You've got to chase down flying around.
I would absolutely love that. I would kill for that. Like, that would be absolutely phenomenal. I really do think that thinking about it, the way I see this happening is that I see it being a post-game to the post-game of, okay, everything's wrapped up, but there's still stuff to do. You can still go out and catch these Pokemon, and the fact that it's, they've mentioned that it's not shiny locked is, again, a way to keep people engaged in the game once they've completed it, because it appeals to a core set of players that like to shiny hunt for Pokemon.
So they're not shiny locked, but you can only catch them once.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And I think your idea or your comparison to Ultra Wormholes is probably the closest for me. And that's why I say that I could imagine this being something to do with Terapagos' power.
Yeah. Well,
you beat them at the end of the game, and then they allow you to access these Pokemon.
Oh, that's how they potentially do it. Is we've seen varieties of crystals now in the overworld. Black is the current highest level one at 6-star raid. You could have one's appeared. It's limited time. It is electric, which means there's a chance that it'll roll Zapdos, Raikou. You could throw in Zekrom, I guess, but then it could also be, on another day, today's one is a dragon one, which means it could be Kyurem, it could be, and maybe that's how they play that, because then it keeps people having to come back, because...
But it says they're not terror raids.
They might not be terror raids, though. It might be literally the crystal pops up, it's electric, you click on it, and then, it smashes open, or it takes you into some kind of cave or whatever, and it is in there, and that's the way that they do that. Because that's similar to how they did it in Oras, because the Hooper Circles, they changed on I think it was daily basis, and... you went through them to find the changed Pokemon. So I could see something like that happening.
Yeah, interesting. I think this is fascinating. I think the fact that, again, they're introducing all these Pokemon, but not in something like Terra Raid Adventures, and they're just like in the overworld, that's huge. I really hope they're more interesting than the Loyal 3 were in the overworld, who just stood there and were like, hi, come catch me.
Yeah.
Which, unfortunately, I think would be probably close to what we actually get. But we can always hope.
We can hope, which is a shame, really, because it's only now thinking back to the Crown Tundra and having to track down the Galarian birds, I was like, oh, actually, that was a fantastic way to implement that. And yet we didn't get that in the last piece of DLC.
In the game, which has already included their running animations anyway.
No, you're right. Yeah, they have. Yeah, they have. Yeah.
Like, that's why that was introduced into the Crown Tundra, because that was where you could get walking Pokemon with you.
Yeah.
So they had the walking animations, so they were like, oh, we'll just have the Pokemon roam around. It'd be fine. I think with a game that's all about travel, you really need that.
Yes.
You really need that.
Agreed.
I think that's interesting. One other thing that I kind of caught on Twitter, I can't remember where it's from, I do apologize, was the idea that the Cobalion and Raikou Paradox forms, can you remember their names?
Something Bolt.
Raging Bolt and Iron
Bolt.
Horns?
Iron Crown?
Iron Crown, there you go.
Yeah.
Are likely to be Terror Raids.
That's not a shock to me.
It's
I'm
not a shock, but
I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
They're the ones that should have the story around them. And the Pokemon that are returning should be the Terror Raids. Like that's the way it should be. That the Terror Raids are, okay, I've not got that. It gives me an opportunity to do this, or like me, I can just import them from Pokemon Home. I want the story to be about the new Pokemon. I want there to be some kind of quest like Legends Arceus of, I need your help tracking down a Raikou. Oh, okay, I'll help you track down. And then, you stumble upon a couple of events and then you're like, oh, this isn't Raikou, but there's a link to it and the implications and the story progression of that. The fact that we're getting them in Terror Raids is disappointing, but not unexpected, because that's how we got Walking
Wake and Iron Leaves, which again I wasn't happy with back then, because we got no story around these Pokemon that really, really need it, and we still don't have Dex entries, which makes me even more mad. Going back to these legendaries, though, there is one thing I want to point out.
Okay.
No Gen 6 Legends. You got
the
main, you got the main legendaries from every other game except Gen 6. Well, obviously Gen 8 as well. You only have Spectra, Glastrier, and Kubfu, rather than the Sword Doggo and Shield Doggo.
Gen 8 doesn't really mean much to me, because it's the last generation, and I can understand why they want to hold back certain Pokemon to roll them out at a later date, because you don't want to give away. Because there will be they're not daft. Game Freak aren't daft. They know there's a section of players that want to complete a full Pokedex, and if you give them all, someone coming into it, and you give them access to all those Pokemon in Generation 9, it's one less reason why they're going to buy Generation 8, which is more money. So that doesn't say a lot to me. But missing Legendaries from Gen 6. That is something to speculate on. Yeah, that's something to speculate on.
Especially considering that we had Carbink, who, like, we all know Carbink is related to Diancie, and it was a really weird Pokemon to include without Diancie, and there's no mention of Diancie coming to the game. No Xerneas, no Yveltal, no Zygarde. Interesting.
That is interesting. Do you think, okay, tinfoil hat on here, do you think this leads into a potentially
Kalos Legends?
Kalos Legends? Because if we were a couple of years on and we'd had a Gen 5 remake, the obvious speculation here would be, well, it's Gen 6 remakes. Like, that's why they're holding them back. I don't see them doing remakes out of order. I can't see them ever going, okay, people are expecting 5, let's do 6. It just feels weird, especially because this game has a link to Unova, which would be the next remakes if we're doing them in order. So yeah, does this potentially tie in with a Legends?
There's also, I will point out, there is no Gen 4 legendaries here either, but we have just had Gen 4 remakes and Legends games. So I much in the same way as you say, it means no, if you want those Pokemon, you still got to go buy those games. You still have access to them on the Switch. Whereas the Gen 5 Pokemon, we just don't. Sorry, the Gen 6 Pokemon, we just don't.
Yeah, I mean, with them shutting down, with them saying that, oh yeah, the Pokemon in Pokemon Bank, you should probably transfer them at some point. And that means that, when Pokemon Bank goes down, Kalos Pokemon are locked out because, as far as I'm aware, you cannot. Can you get Kalos Pokemon in Dynamax Adventures?
Probably, yes. I want to say so.
I want to have a quick
yes,
look
because
at that.
I was shiny hunting Zygarde, because you can get
you
perfect
can.
form Zygarde, can't you?
Oh, okay, can you? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, okay. Okay, so, but you did say that you did say when you were reading out that list that it can change.
It's subject to change. Yeah, this is just again, people have data mined the games as they stand.
I mean, but when they say subject to change, like we're 2 weeks away. Like, if we were 12 months away, I'd be like, okay, it's probably just a design oversight, and then later on they'll go, okay, let's bring in the next batch, which includes those legendaries. But 2 weeks away, and we're missing Pokemon from Gens 4, 5, and 8. 4 and 8, we've kind of said, like, they're available on the Switch, so that's fine. But Gen 5, again, is available on the Switch, but you need the DLC, and you need to go through a lot of legwork to get them.
Now, there is another argument here, which is they've excluded them purely for competitive balance. So you don't have the Gen 8 doggos because Zacian was freaking broken.
It still is, yeah.
You don't have Calyrex. You have the horses, but you don't have Calyrex.
Yeah.
Because they were broken.
Yeah.
You don't have, obviously, all the Mega Evolutions are gone, so the Weather Trio aren't as bad as they used to be. And we've got rid of Xerneas, who was a massive problem as well.
Yeah.
Geomancy was ridiculous.
It was broken, absolutely broken.
And you couldn't really include Yveltal and Zygarde without Xerneas.
They're a package deal. You get one of them, you get all of them or none of them.
So there's an argument to be made that that's why they've excluded them. Whether it's the case or not is a different matter, but there's an argument to be made there.
Definitely is. I'm really looking forward to seeing this second piece of DLC coming out and playing it, and I honestly feel like it could potentially be either some of the best Pokemon content we've had in a long time, or just I swear if it is like the Teal Mask and it's a whole lot of nothing.
And that's what scares me, is I'm getting my hopes up again.
Yes.
Which I said I wouldn't do this time. But there's so much that it has to answer for that, as you say, it's either going to be one of the greatest things to ever happen to Pokemon and will retroactively make Scarlet and Violet better in my eyes.
Yeah.
Or it'll be a flop and I will... I don't want to say I'll be done with this series, but I'll be incredibly disappointed. Yeah,
I think we need to do what we did, because last time the Teal Mask dropped and we gave it a week, didn't we, to play through, because we didn't want to rush through and we needed to give it a breather. So I'm just thinking out loud that this comes out on the 14th, which is the Thursday. So it would be the following week. It would be the 22nd. So that gives us a full week to play it and digest it, and hopefully give a really in-depth review. Because when we reviewed the Teal Mask, I'd done, I think, literally everything except for getting the shine. The only thing I haven't done in the Teal Mask is getting the shiny Munchlax from the Ogre Ousting minigame, because
I've got a team of people looking for a fourth, by the way. If you want me to give you their details. Because they keep talking about it and they're like, I need a fourth person to do this. I'm like, I can't be bothered.
It depends if I can get a free 7-day trial, because I'm not paying for another year with a Nintendo Switch. Like, when I found out that I can play Pokemon Unite without its yearly subscription.
Oh, because you can play it on mobile, so it makes sense.
No,
okay.
You can play it on the Switch. I'm not paying.
Yeah, but what I mean is you can play it on mobile, so it makes sense that they wouldn't do it on Switch.
Yes. But because that was one of the few games that I played online, and I discovered that, and every day, maybe I have 1 or 2 games because I don't need to pay for that service. Anyway, shall we wrap up the podcast, because we're coming up to an hour and a half. And Yes. Okay. That's the show for this week. If you've gotten this far, you're just top dollar, aren't you? Seriously though, if you have gotten this far, then you really are top dollar because obviously you've not jumped out on light spoilers. If you've got a comment or question, you can reach us by leaving a comment on our podcast on YouTube, by emailing goldenrodpod@gmail.com, by leaving it on our Discord channel, by using the hashtag goldenrodpod on Twitter. And of course, before you go, we'd always appreciate it if you leave a review on the podcast platform of your choice, or if you're watching on YouTube, then please leave a like. It really helps out the podcast. Conor, where can we find you?
You can find me on my YouTube channel at Captain Fidget or on Twitter at CapFidget.
I'm Ben. You can find me as Professor Hoenn Gaming on YouTube and Professor Hoenn on Twitter. We'll be back next Friday for another week of Pokemon podcast content.
See ya!